Hello everyone, this is Nnena.
And I'm Ngozi,
and welcome back to our channel.
Ejima. Today we're going to talk about a topic that affects a lot of millennial women. And the bigger question is, how do people feel, or whether, not even how do people feel, is it a good idea for a single woman to buy a house? Okay, so this may sound like a weird question, but it's something that it's like it comes up a lot because, as you know, the workforce, women work, men work, people are getting married later. A lot of women who are not living with their family, not living with a roommate, have been renting for 5-10 years.
Or not renting at all.
Or staying at home.
They've been saving money.
Trying to save money, but you know, they have in their mind, oh, I'm going to have the beautiful house, the beautiful children, blah, blah, blah. But 30 hits. 32 hits, 35 hits, and they're still not married. So it comes to the point, are you going to be 35 still living with your mom and dad? Are you going to be 35 still renting an apartment, paying a decent amount, especially if you're up in New Jersey, a month for a good neighborhood for an apartment? Or do you start pursuing your own personal dreams, your own personal, goals? And one of them, a big one that a lot of people have, is buying a home. Right. A lot of people want to live in a home. They don't want to rent. They don't want to live with their parents. They eventually have the American dream. The goal of the American dream is to buy their own homes, the white picket fence, like I said, the beautiful kids. But, and I definitely understand where the women are coming from. I don't think it's crazy. I don't think it's far-fetched. I don't think it's random. I don't think that it's weird. But I do think it's something that needs to be done a certain type of way. It needs to be, the cons and the pros need to be evaluated. Like,
okay, let me start with this. This is something that I talk about a lot with some of my friends, my cousin. I talk a lot with my friends, some of my friends and my cousins, and I don't think it's wrong at all for a woman to want to buy her own house. The only issue I have with it, speaking for me, this is my opinion, right, is that I just feel as if I do not want to live in a big house by myself. Like, I'm not even looking at, like, the Nigerian culture, the way my mother's looking at it is like, oh, you're going to intimidate a man. No one's going to marry you.
There's men who don't want to move into a woman's house.
What is the man, oh, you think it was hard finding a man without a house? Now you want to carry a house in a nice luxury car and park in it? Men are going to be scared of you. You know what I mean? That's the lens that a lot of foreign parents will look at it when it comes to this. And that might have some truth to it. I don't negate that at all. Same way back growing up, my mother said, if a woman had a car, no one would marry her. Right? Because back then, the average woman didn't have a car. Same way right now, the average single woman doesn't necessarily have a house. But it's probably going to become more normal. Me personally, I'm just thinking about, I'm lazy. I'm just thinking about the space. I'm thinking about the maintenance. I'm thinking about, I know I grew up with a single mother and she owns property. Right? And I see what she goes around. I see how she had to run up and down. I don't want to own a house by myself. That's just me, period. But however, I feel like there's a middle ground. There's a middle between an apartment and a 3-4 bedroom house. There's townhouses. There's condos, you know what I mean? There's smaller units.
Split 2-family houses?
Right, 2-family houses, exactly. There's smaller units that you could, I understand people feel like they're throwing away their money. We'll get to that after. So I get it, you know what I mean? I understand. I feel like for me, I'm more like in the middle. Like, I'm at a certain point and I'm tired of renting. I definitely think I would invest like in a townhouse, a condo by myself. I don't think I necessarily have to wait for a man to be in my life for me to do that, right? Yeah. Because it's going to be a small contained space. I still know I own it. Easy to clean. I can always sell it. It's investment property. But I just don't ever see myself going and buying a house like this house that my mom bought. Like, that I live in right now, to just sit in by myself. To me, I think it's kind of weird. My heat bill, I'm paying heat to heat up a whole environment that's only me living in it. You know what I mean? I have to look for someone to mow the lawn. I have to look for someone to, if I'm still in Jersey, I have to look for someone to shovel the snow. I have to clean. I have to furnish rooms that no one's going to be living in. Like, that's more of the stuff that I'm thinking about. Like, but I get why some people do it. And also too, I don't want an old house. Right? So I don't want a house that's like 60, 70, 80 years old, So I feel like in New Jersey area, those are a lot of the houses that are more affordable, like kind of like almost fixer uppers, or like houses that are, but for me, I like the idea of, I feel like townhouses and condos are usually a little bit more newer.
Yeah. And I think we need to emphasize on this. When we talk about single women in this video, I think we're saying single women with no children. Because I think that even like my mom bought a house, it makes a huge difference. I understand why women who may not be single, but they have a family, they have children, why they want a house. Because you want that space. Yeah. Even if you're not married, it doesn't matter. Like, you have 2, 3, 4 children, putting them in a condo or townhouse, they're usually not that big.
Right.
So you still want your children to have a backyard. Yeah, you still want your children to have that experience. So we have to emphasize, we're talking about single women who are unmarried and do not have children. buying a house by themselves. And I think another factor, like Nnena touched on, the space. I would not want to live in a house by myself, no matter how old I am. I just think it's too big. But another factor is the cost. And reason why a lot of women are pushed to do this because they always bring up the cost factor. Well, I'm paying $1,500 a month for rent, so I might as well pay $1,500 a month in mortgage. But they forget the fact that a house has so many other bills attached to it. And I feel like that's the reason why I feel like when a lot of people use the cost argument, I get it, but to an extent, sometimes it's not that as cheap as people make it seem. It's just, of course, you have more space. For example, it's yours. For example, for a woman, you have a house. People forget you still have to pay taxes. Like Nnena said, these houses are not new houses. You have to maintain it. Things break all the time. You're not moving into a brand new house.
Them, oh, the heat's messing up. Okay, Nnena, we'll be there in 5 minutes.
You have to change your boiler system. You may have roofing issues. You may have, there's so many things that can happen with a house, especially older houses. So you have to put into your budget maintenance. You have to remember you have seasons, especially in New Jersey, you have 4 seasons. It's a difference. Like I don't want to make this a gender thing, but like, I feel like the argument's never really made with men, single men with no children and no wife buying a house.
The funny part, I feel like I see more women doing it than even men.
Yeah, because I think that the gender to me is like, I look at it like, I just feel like when it comes down to maintenance, I grew up digging snow. I grew up raking leaves. I don't believe that I can't do something because I'm a woman.
Right,
but I know the average woman's not comfortable doing certain things. Right. So I feel like even if it's a single man with no children, I feel like it's a little better, them owning house, because the quote unquote, they're supposed to be the provider. So a woman's supposed to move into their house. A woman's supposed to move in and with them. So
are you not a feminist?
It's not as intimidating. But for example, my cousin was talking to a guy and she was talking, not even seriously, but he said that he could never move into a woman's house. That's demeaning. And you would think that's, a lot of men probably feel that way. Like they're not moving into a man's house. Let us know if you're a man. Would you feel any type of way moving into your wives, your fiances? Would you feel, even a guy would told me that, like, hey, I'm not moving into a woman's house. I don't care if you buy a house, I'm not moving into that. So that's the thing, that when our parents bring up this old school mentality, it's not like they're being crazy, because that's something that still exists with a lot of people. But even besides the fact, like we're saying, the cost part, I just feel like a lot of people should just do their research. Don't think because you pay rent in this much and a mortgage this much that you're just getting a better deal. That's not true, because you have to factor in so many things.
You also need a good down payment if you don't want your mortgage to be out the roof.
Yeah, you have to factor in so many things like taxes, maintenance, all these things that you're not doing in an apartment, or you're not doing in your parents' house, or you're not necessarily splitting a place with a friend.
That's a good point. So examples, like I'm gonna link in The View. I want you guys to see The View. And in Charlotte, I did an apartment tour, like one of the most expensive apartments in Charlotte. And I will never forget, the guy that showed me this apartment made a point. He's like, Nnena, no one is living in The View because they can't afford a house. And I said, yo, that's true. He's like, people are paying $3,000 plus here for like a 3-bedroom.
They're paying for an experience.
They're paying for the experience. You know what I mean? He's like, there's people that don't want to have anything to do with a house.
They're married.
It's not that they don't have the money.
Spouses who don't want to deal with a house.
They have the money. They have more than enough money. I remember I was dating a guy in his 40s. He was still renting. You think this guy has been working since 20-something. He has money about it, but he's like, no, wait, I don't want to live in a house by myself. I feel like a house, I need a woman. You know what I mean? That's his opinion. And I can't say that because I'm a feminist. It makes sense to me. He's like, I do not want to be in a house by myself. Like, he just felt as if it's like,
it's too much space.
It's too much space. And this is a grown man, 40-something. So it just reminded, like, The View, like I showed y'all that apartment complex, anyone living there paying those prices could have a house easily, especially in Charlotte. Especially in Charlotte. They're not hungry.
Intentional. They don't want a house.
They're not hungry. They wake up, their coffee is made. They go to their gym, they run downstairs. They don't have to drive anywhere. They want this, it's at their doorstep. They call something messed up, they call like renting. A lot of people, I was like, oh, renting is a waste, but renting comes with so much convenience.
Renting is not a waste, man. You need somewhere to live, right?
Right.
You need a house, you need shelter. Those are 3 top needs. When people say they're so annoying, renting is a waste. No, it's not. You need somewhere to live. I need to live somewhere. I can't buy a house immediately. So what do I do in the interim? I rent. People are saving money renting. People are saving.
Especially your rent is affordable. Especially you have a roommate.
Yeah, people are saving big bucks renting. Because if they had a house, they can't save money in a house, paying all these bills associated with a house.
Fixing all these things.
They can't. Yeah. So let's stop making this. I know everyone's in this buy generation. Everyone wants to be a homeowner. Everyone wants to be a business, everything. But it's like, let's stop shaming other people because they don't want what we want or they don't care for it. Everyone's allowed to want different things. Like we all have that ability. So I think that's a big there's a point.
Like just because you don't have a house and you can't afford it.
Yeah, some people just like that.
I say all the time. I keep repeating. Maybe it's the third time saying, but I grew up seeing stress. I grew up seeing people around me stress themselves, jump up and down from one job to another, killing them. I in my life, I want as little stress as possible. I know I can't avoid stress. life is going to bring stress. But the stress I can control, I don't want it. So I'd rather pay even more and have a less stressful life. That's just me.
They pay less, do everything on my own.
And do everything on my own.
Like, pay for convenience.
Right.
I believe in paying for convenience. You pay for convenience.
Paying for
not for everything.
Not for everything.
But you things that are important to you. What you important to you.
Right. So I have friends that are young and they have apartments and they pay people to come clean their apartments. And sometimes I used to be like, that's why an apartment? How big is an apartment to clean it? But they don't want to spend their Saturdays cleaning when they work so much. They don't want to spend their one day off a week cooking and cleaning. They want that time to go to brunch. They want that time to take a nap. You know what I'm saying? So, like,
you can't judge them for it.
Right. You have to spend on what's important to you. But my only thing I just have with this, like, a woman buying a house, this whole idea of, like, let's link it into feminism, right? So a lot of people say, I am a feminist. Ultimately, feminism is just defined as, like, wanting equality for men and women, right? So if a man gets paid $10 an hour, I want to get paid $10 an hour for doing the equal work, right? It isn't, a lot of people have the definition a bit confused. So they like try to tie it into all these other things when it comes to like gender, all these extremes. And like, you know, I guess gender roles is a part of feminism, you know, like all of that, whatever. All I'm saying is that let's not act like a part of what I mentioned earlier is not true. Being a woman, having your own house, definitely can intimidate some men. Having, you know what I mean?
You could attract some bums.
Right.
Who are looking for someone to take care of them.
Right. So, like, let's not say that because we want to say we're feminists and it's 2020 that we're going to ignore some of these traditional beliefs. You know, we have to find the middle ground. Like, some of this stuff is true. Like, a man might really be feeling, men get intimidated by you just because of what you wear. They get intimidated by your height, just imagine you've been like, oh yeah, I have my house, I have my 4-bedroom house. You know, a man might feel like, you know, I can't meet her standard, but maybe that's not the right man for you. That's not what would stop me from getting a house if I really wanted it. That's not it. My issue is really just, I'm thinking about the maintenance. I'm thinking about the cleaning. I'm thinking about for me, I need a 15-year mortgage or I'm not buying it. You know what I mean? I'm just thinking about the cost in a sense. You know what I mean? A 15-year mortgage and a good house with a good neighborhood. That mortgage, I don't see an apartment I would live in that would cost more than my mortgage. That's just me personally. If I'm getting a decent house on a 15-year mortgage with a decent down payment, I definitely know the house is going to cost me more because I got to pay mortgage and taxes. Me and Ngozi pay my mother's mortgage and taxes. So we know these things. We're not people that are talking, but I've never paid a bill.
She gives us the money. We don't pay.
No, we don't pay. No, but like we run those errands. So like I'm very privy to how much taxes cost in northern New Jersey. I know there's no apartment that is costing more than my mom's taxes and mortgage
every month.
Even the view. Like, honestly, like taxes and mortgage, especially up here.
And that's not even including the other bills.
Maintenance and light bill and this. We're in here shivering with the heat on 68. Apartment, you can blast your heat. The space is small. You get upset at little things like that. But I don't know. To each his own.
It's not to bash anyone on one's house. What I'm saying is that some people who are renting should not feel inferior. They should not feel as if, oh, they haven't arrived. They haven't achieved it. Like we need to stop. We need to change how we assess people and what we use to give people value. And I feel like sometimes with this whole house thing, a lot of people can feel as if I'm not valuable enough until I own my own house. I haven't made it until I own my own house. And it's not true. It's not. It's nice if you want that and you get it. That's amazing. That's fantastic. But that does not mean that someone that does not have that is less than.
Or they don't have the money.
Or they don't have the money. It's just a preference. You know, it's a lifestyle. It really comes down to lifestyle. And yes, for some people, this comes out to money. Some people do want a home and they can't afford it. You know, they have bad credit. They can't get a mortgage. The interest rate is high. And I understand that. But I just think, particularly like we said, when it comes to single women without children, I get where they're coming from.
You don't want to be in rent for 10 years.
You don't want to be 40 years old still renting. Right. It comes a point you accept it where your life is going. You accept you have other options.
You could be in your early 30s and been renting for 5-6 years. You're tired of giving your money to someone.
Yeah, you feel as if
let me put my money into something.
And like I said, for me, like Nnena has mentioned, a great solution to that would be for a single woman without children would be like a condo, a townhouse, a split level house, 2-3 family home, like something that you still have that you're still the owner. So you're not basically quote unquote giving your money to somebody else, but you still you don't have as much space. So it's not as big as a house. It's not as massive. It's not as much things associated to it. Like I say, you have a townhouse, you have a condo, you have a 2-3 family house. So to me, that's like some meeting somewhere in the middle. I do get why people want that. After a certain while, like, you know, you don't be in an apartment with 200 people. Like, you know, it comes to a point that you do want your space, but like people want to, some people just want to be too extreme. Like, you don't need to leave your mom's house and go get your own house. You don't need to leave your father's house and jump to your house.
I hear that a lot too. It's kind of like, oh, rent is a waste of money. So I'm gonna live at home with my parents for 10 years until I can buy a house. I feel like that's kind of dumb too.
Like, you baby steps.
Right. You
baby
have to crawl
steps.
before you walk.
And little by little, it's all a part of the process. You learn a lot living by yourself in an apartment, then you go to a house, and you know, take it step by step. You don't have to wait to have it 100% to do it. If that's the case, a lot of things we wouldn't do it. We wouldn't start our YouTube channel. We wouldn't do all these things if we wait till we have the this and the that and the that and the that. And I feel like when it comes to a house, some people are just too extreme. Like, you know, I'm going to stay with my mom at 33 because I can't afford the big house I want. No, you can get a roommate. You can live in a nice apartment. You can gradually get yourself up to that nice house that you want. You don't have to feel as if you don't have as many options because you're limiting yourself. But let us know how you feel about that, especially our women, our fellow women. How do you feel about living by yourself? Do you think it's scary? Like,
it is funny because a lot of women think a lot of girls, my friends, a lot of them don't even want to live by themselves.
But so they go get a house.
But then it's
some get a house,
right?
You know? So it just depends on individuals. So let us know if you're a woman watching. Are you thinking about buying a home? What's stopping you? What are your fears? What are your concerns?
And to the men, I'm really curious to know, like, would you be intimidated if, like, you're talking to me, we're vibing, we're cool, and all of a sudden, like, oh, you know, I own my 5-bedroom house by the lake. You know what I mean? Like, are you gonna feel a type of way? Are you gonna be like, oh, she don't need me?
And men
is
too,
that true?
would you have an issue moving in with your girlfriend, fiance, wife into her house if you don't have a house?
I don't see why you're renting. You still could come and pay the bills.
Guys, if you're renting right now or you're living with your family, you got a roommate, you guys got serious, would you feel a certain type of way if she told you, I don't want to move? I bought my house. I like it. It's a good area. I've invested in it. I don't think most
men would care.
I think a lot of guys would care. But let us know. Guys, watch this. Let us know. Would you have an issue moving into a woman's house? Would you feel a certain type of way about it? Is it demeaning to you? Do you feel like it's like, oh, like, I can't do this? But don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And we'll see you in our next video. Bye.